Thanks for tuning in to Barbershop Sports Talk.
So, the first thing, and we were just talking about this off the air, and I was going to hold this till later, but the words you used made me chuckle so much we had to bring this up. Let's talk about the Bears and the Browns. So, you used the word despicable talking about the Bears play. Uh, Justin Fields was 6 of 20, 9 sacks. People on Twitter were saying, what is going on? I've never seen such a lifeless offense. They won't even roll out Justin Fields. What were you seeing? How bad was the offensive performance actually for Chicago?
Yeah, it was pretty bad today. I think Justin Fields, time to throw, I think he had less than 1 second to throw before he was under duress. I think it was .78, but he was under absolute duress all day until, as soon as he got back to pass, pocket collapsed. He was having a hard time seeing things down the field, not able to spin out and escape the rush. And you got Myles Garrett and Damian Clowney on each side of the bookends on the line of scrimmage. I kind of saw fear in his eye a little bit today. But this was just a complete dominant day for the Cleveland Browns defensive line today. 9 sacks, Myles Garrett, a franchise record, 4.5 sacks today. You talk about just absolutely beating down Jason Peters. Nothing was working. He tried to cut him a few times. It was just one man. He just sideswiped him and ran off and tracked Justin Fields down several times today, but it was a 9-sack performance, and it kind of became clear during that game that the Bears were not going to score a touchdown that day, and they were going to have a hard time crossing midfield. If they started off in their own territory.
So, who's most to blame for the Bears' offensive performance? Let's give a percentage. What percentage is Justin Fields, the offensive line, Matt Nagy, and the Browns' defense?
Yeah, I think probably the one that gets the most blame is Chicago Bears' offensive line today, and going back to the front office and putting in, having to resort to a 39-year-old Jason Peters to play left tackle. I think that's a lot. The second one is the Cleveland Browns defensive line. Gets a lot of credit for really winning their one-on-one battles. It wasn't just Myles Garrett today. It was Jadeveon Clowney, a couple linebackers off the edge, Tack McKinley. And then after that, I just don't think they had the personnel to match the Browns up front. So, going along with after Allen Robinson, you take a look at this Bears offense. After Allen Robinson, they really don't have any other playmakers for Justin Fields. There's one reason. Two, why, you got to take a look at and look at the coaching, and that's why, they started off with Andy Dalton, at least to manage the protections and get the ball out quick like that. So, after that one, probably third would be Justin Fields, really looking bad today. Eyes dropping under pressure. And so that's kind of the hierarchy of that. But that was just a complete domination up front with the Chicago Bears offensive line. Browns defensive line. You take a look at the total yardage, not just the sacks, the total yardage in that game. That's 418 to 47. The Bears only had 47 yards of offense in 2021 in the NFL.
When you look at Justin Fields, 6 of 20, how does that happen in the modern day NFL? That is like Tim Tebow passing numbers. How concerned would you be about Justin Fields after that game?
I wouldn't be that concerned. On that one. So with Justin Fields, you want to get him some reps this year and see what he could do. And then, this is a team that is in transition from an offensive line standpoint. They got Kevin Jenkins in the second round. He's on IR right now with a back, but other than maybe left tackle or left guard Cody Whitehair, there's not a lot of serviceable or average starters on offense. They got to figure out Allen Robinson 1 year on the franchise tag. I don't particularly like their skill positions either. It's kind of just a lot of average skill players around him. So they're going to need to really revamp this. I think it might be a little bit a bigger rebuild than one would think from the outside. It's going to be, protection, playmakers, and depending on how Justin Fields progresses, is probably going to determine whether you move forward with Matt Nagy or not. But today was just completely outmatched, and I think they really wanted Andy Dalton to at least get through these first 3 games, and then you could start Justin Fields week 4 at home against the Lions. But taking a look at their Bear schedule, after the Lions, they got the Raiders, decent defense, and then they got some, they got Packers, Bucs coming up, so it's tough sledding right now. But they definitely need to build a lot around Justin Fields to prevent him from being, another Bears quarterback that really struggles, and one that, the Chicago's been looking for about 40 years now.
Is Matt Nagy firmly on the hot seat? Is he firmly on the hot seat after this performance?
Yeah, I think coming into the year he was. I think, seeing how the offense looks with Justin Fields after 4 years, they got a division title, playoffs 2 out of his first 3 years. I think the way the offense and Justin Fields progresses as the year goes on is really going to determine if they go forward with another year, because you take a look after year 1 of Justin Fields, you see what they could do to build around him. That might be taking a look at a general manager too. But, if they do keep Matt Nagy, how does this drastically look from year 2? Because, if it doesn't work out in year 2, then you're just delaying the inevitable for a year. So I really think Justin Fields' performance is tied directly to Matt Nagy for these next, 14 games.